Wrecca. And this is going to be episode number 1 of a small series I'm going to do called Wrecca's Workshop. Today I'm allowed to work, but today I'm going to do my workshop at home for the first episode. And what I'm going to do today is some rune carving. I have a flute for a customer, and that customer, I carved some runes into each flute by hand, and so I'm going to show you all in my workshop today how to carve runes by hand. So without further ado, let's check it out. Harp, my Jew's harp. This is my rune carving knife. As you can see here, it's not quite done. That's the tang, actually. I TIG welded the tang onto just the wire part. It actually has a full tang that goes all the way through, but just the very end of it, I actually TIG welded a steel tang, and I have a little piece of bronze that I'm going to silicon bronze TIG weld onto there, but I just haven't finished it. Our TIG welder has been broken. But this is the flute that I made for my customer. This is zebra wood. Very cool. There you can see the touch mark. I just get it hot. It usually leaves kind of a burn mark. I guess I didn't get it hot enough. But still, when the touch mark is hot, it still singes the wood and kind of presses it down. It's a pretty cool effect. And I'm going to put the runes on this side. The runes are going to be this. This says Lautha. It's a Proto-Germanic for, it's the stem of the word lute. Lautha, there's a thorn right there. So this is going to be Elder Futhark runes, which are the old ones. And these were the runes that Proto-Germanic language was found in. It was very small amounts of evidence that we have for these runes. Just a few examples. And this is the flute this is the very first prototype. It's a little smaller, and it actually doesn't have the right tones. This one has a bit of a deeper tone to it. But and then I have my black pen, which I'm gonna use the pen to draw the runes onto the flute. So yeah, this is a flute that I make for okay, so these are the trees. There's some kind of this is some kind of grape or something. It's been struggling for a while. I actually found this pot at the box shop. But it was pretty sad up on the porch there, and then I took it down here, and it's been doing a lot better now. This is a little apple tree. See, we got these little apples going. Oh shit, I think I just broke one off. Huh. Well, it wasn't very healthy then. So hopefully these will turn into some nice little apples here. And this is an avocado. These lower leaves were struggling, but it's got this nice growth top above here. This was started from just a pit, an avocado pit. So this is lavender, rosemary, yarrow. This one right here, it's a raspberry. These are gourds. Look how good these are doing. I just planted these like a few days ago and they're already going off. This is corn. That's corn. That's some more gourds. This is of course yarrow, a very medicinal herb I love. Lemon basil or something like that. These are marigolds. And of course tomatoes. I have a tomato cage up there I'm going to put. This is creeping thyme. So it's an herbal ground cover. This is basil, sweet basil. This is basil, I think, too, or oregano. I don't know. This was from Trader Joe's. It was pretty sad, but it looks like it's taking hold now. Genovese, basil, more basil. This is a fig tree right here. And this is my little crazy guerrilla garden. So this is wild garlic, but it keeps getting trampled here. I have them protected inside this brick. So it's been kind of keeping the base nice and healthy, but these keep getting smashed. There's some kind of creature that keeps coming back here. Right there we had all these ferns that were all really growing really well, and then someone came back here, I don't know who. Maybe some kind of creature, maybe some kind of human creature. This right here, these are cool. This is just a potato. Look at that, potato greens. I just took a potato, I planted it right there. Look at, there's a new one coming up here. Yeah. Yeah, this was just a potato that had some eyes growing on it, and I just put it in the ground, and look at, it's turning into a giant potato patch now. These are onions. These are onions that, like, I had too long and they started growing, so I just planted them in the ground. This is some kind of bulbaceous plant. It's already there. And of course, this is thistle, I think. And I always let all my herbs grow naturally. This right here is my blackberry. I love blackberries. Mint. These are onions, some kind of leeks, I think. More corn. This corn is not doing so good. That one's doing good. These little snails. These little slugs. That little guy. I've been tearing them apart. But then over here, this is corn as well. And this corn is doing great. That's corn and onions. Yeah. Then this is some mallow, marshmallow. Look how clean these are. They don't have any of the mold fungus that grows on these. And then here we have a nice big one. They probably don't have fungus because there's a little bit of fungus. Because I've been watering these. Look at that healthy ass sucker. That right there is our pear tree. It was doing really bad. I mean, it was growing okay, but right in the middle here, it was all dead. And I went up there with a freaking saw and cut a lot of the branches. There's still a part missing. I still have to cut up there too. The runes here is the best interpretation that I can find online of the word for music. And this is a flute that I've made. I've modeled it after a recorder. I know it kind of looks like a hoof, or a devil's hoof. Don't worry, I'm not a Satan worshiper. I am a pagan, yes, but I do not worship the devil. Those are Christians. But this is a flute that I made myself out of a piece of dark walnut. This is a little piece of wenge that was grafted onto the end of it because I had to extend it. This is cork, a little piece of cork in there so I can make the labium happen. But yeah, this is all handmade. Doesn't sound perfect, but whatever. So this is the flute that I make. The original prototype I made right here sounds like this. This is the new flute. It actually has a deeper hole on the deep hole. It's on this side. See the hole over here? You can only go so deep without running into this hole, so that's why this hole, which is for hanging it from your belt, is on this side. But this one has a little bit of a deeper tone because the deeper hole is deeper on this one. I looked at the original drawing and I found out I made some errors. Anyways, so one thing to know about runes, when you're carving runes, there's a reason why that they go against, perpendicular to the grain of the wood. Okay? So the grain of the wood is going this way, right? Well, the runes are carved this way, or slight angles going like this, okay? You'll never see a rune that's carved this way. And the reason for that is if you carved a rune with the grain, it would continue to chip and it would just completely destroy the rune, so it doesn't last very long. So that's why all of these runes are carved perpendicular. The grain goes this way, they're carved perpendicular to the grain. Okay? In this particular object, we're going to put the runes on this side. The grain goes this way, right? So we need to carve the grains, we need to carve the runes going this way, perpendicular. And so I have this pen. So they've obviously started construction again. It was very quiet during the days here in San Francisco because the only places that were allowed to do construction were for low-income housing. And San Francisco, you're going to be hard-pressed to find any low-income housing being built right now. The powers that be do not want that to be happening. Okay, so I also need to make sure that they're kind of far away from each other. And also, I always like to do my runes with little serifs. See at the bottom here? How it's like wider? That's called a serif in writing. It's usually from a calligraphy tip. It just makes them look better, and also I think that it makes them terminate better because there's little angles. I'll show you when it's done. My favorite letter is the thorn, which is now a defunct letter. It's for the word TH, thorn. And if you look at it, it actually looks like a little thorn. See the little thorn? Okay, last letter. So I'm using a nice felt pen. This is like a really nice artist felt pen. But any pen that's probably a marker with a really fine tip is going to be probably the best. But there you go. You have all your beginning rune marks. I don't know what the ancients did. Maybe they used charcoal or something. Maybe they just freehanded them. That's probably what they did. They just probably freehanded them. Actually, when you do see examples of hand-carved runes that are not on stone or like in wood and stuff, they're a little rough, you know, because they're just some, you know, Proto-Germanic tribes, human, sitting there in some strange natural location, creating their little rune carvings. So these are all going perpendicular or at an angle, you see? But never like this. Okay. So then once you have your initial, so I've got my rune carving knife here, which is an antler. It's an antler knife that I made myself. Haven't quite finished it yet, as I was explaining before. This is an optional process, but I always like to charge up my magical carving implement before I do any work on it. So I'm going to use my shamanic instrument, my Jew's harp, to give it a little charm. Okay. It's thoroughly charged. Okay, so now that you've got your runes here, what I'd usually do is I pre-carve all of the lines. The reason I like this knife actually is it has this little antler. You can sort of use it like a pen. So a smaller knife is probably going to be better. So anyways, I just sort of go on the outsides. Do you see how I made it thicker? So I'm actually going to go on the very outsides of the lines, okay? And also lay the knife flat. Ooh, yeah. And remember, you're going against the grain here. And so what I do is I give first a guideline, not pushing so hard. Also, when you're cutting these initial lines, make sure, if you're looking at this object, I want to be cutting in this line at this angle. And when I cut the other side, I want it to come in at this angle. Okay? The reason for that is because we're actually cutting a V groove. Okay? If this was, where we are. If this was looking at it straight on, the rune, you're carving a V. Okay? So when you're carving this side of the letter, you want to angle the knife this way, and when you're carving this side of the letter, it angles that. And then the two cuts will actually meet at the bottom. And then once it's all carved out, then you can just go in there, and you can actually take the knife and hold it like this, and scrape, which I'll show you in a moment. See, I'm doing the other side of the letter, and I'm already starting to get chips of wood coming out. And then also, make sure not to go against the grain. I mean with the grain, I should say. Go against the grain, please. And just kind of work both sides. This one's a little deeper. So it's a little too thin up at the top, so I'm going to cut a little bit more material. There we go. So as you can see, once I start to get into the And of course, if I was doing this just without filming it, I would be able to do this a lot faster and more efficiently. So once you start getting a groove going in there, a V groove, you can use the tip of a knife to sort of remove chips of wood. And then when you get it down enough, you can start going across like this. I'm just kind of shaving out chips. I'm going to change the angle. Come over here like this with this hand. And always maintain that there's a V groove. And always maintain that V groove going with the tip of the knife. And that looks like garbage. Also, this zebra wood, I haven't worked with it. It's very splintery. Oh yeah, that's because I was trying to open it up a little bit, and I sort of miscut. There you go. So you can usually kind of fix your mistakes. I'm actually using it to sort of shave material. So I'm still back here on my porch. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to start. I've got this line pretty grooved. Normally what I would do is actually cut all of these first, but I was just demonstrating the first letter. Careful with the top corners up here. It's very square, and so the way to get it nice and sharp is to use the tip of the knife and sort of continue the cut up a little bit. There we go. Sort of connect the two little valleys that you're creating, because it has a tendency, I've noticed, to like create two separate grooves, and you have to sort of connect the two pathways to make it a continuous letter. Okay, so there we go. So there's the beginning of a first letter. It's a little rough, but I'm going to go in there and fix it later. Let's go. Let's go, boys. So one of the tricks to get the lines, to get it started and keep it straight, is if you hold the knife up like this, you're going to have a hard time keeping a straight line. It's going to have a tendency, oh shit, you can't see that. If you hold it straight up like this, it has a tendency to turn like this. Now if you hold it down like that, as much as you can, you have a danger of continuing the line a little too farther than you expected to, so you just have to get used to the feel of it. But keeping the edge down makes your line straighter. Just like with any kind of like cutting or anything, the angle of the knife, this angle, right? That angle. Can't see. So the more you keep it down, the straighter you're going to get a cut. If you hold it up, you're going to get a wigglier cut. Wigglier. Yeah, keep it nice and flat, like that. But also keep a little angle in it. So this M letter actually has the sound eh, like E. It's like a E turned over to look like an M. The runes are all different. Now, of course, my first runes were total shit. And then they got better and better over time. Each time you do it, you get a little bit better. Some of the actual real examples of rune carvings were like in wood and stuff, and they're very crude. Some of them also in metal were really crude. I'm going to do another workshop where I do carving. I do rune carving in steel, in iron, and it's a lot different. I actually use a chisel, sort of engrave or indent the steel. Oop, come on, stop shaking, Jessica. Obviously, I'm not going to be in my full form when I'm trying to film myself because I'm a little nervous and I'm not accustomed to performing on camera like this yet. And so I'm not at my full capacity here. Oh shit. Oh, that's okay. Thought I carved a little too much wood out. I did kind of carve out a little too much wood. You need to be really careful not to take too much. Otherwise the outer walls of the runes will start falling apart. So it helps to have good eyes. And if you don't have good eyes, then have good glasses. I'm sure if you were a professional rune carver in the Vendel period, carving Proto-Germanic Elder Futhark runes onto stuff and your eyes went out, you'd probably get fired, or you wouldn't be able to find work. They'd be like, what kind of runes are those, mate? Okay, so yeah, you just sort of use the tip of the knife to kind of gouge in there and carve out. Here we go. Okay, now I'm just going to sit here and carve all these, and we'll put it on fast motion, so I'm not going to talk. Okay. Hopefully you can see. So my runes end up being sort of like tags. I used to be a tagger, graffiti artist. And so we always started small, and then it got bigger as it went out. So it sort of flared out. That's just how I do runes too. So, you know, I don't know if the ancient Germanic people. Actually, there is a rune carving that I did notice that did that. It tapered out. So, hey, maybe I'm on the right track. La thwa, lautha, lautha, le u tha. So the first rune, oh, there we go. The first rune is an L sound. See how it looks like an L? La. The next sound is E, so it makes a le, e. The next sound is a U. It's upside down U in the rune. So le, u, then the thorn, th, and then this one is the A sound. It's actually supposed to be an A. This is the rune letter for the sound A, and but in the translation it says it's a nasal A sound. So so leutha, I guess. That's my best try. It's a try hard, I know. So now I'm just going to go through here with the edge of my knife, sort of like at this angle, and sort of carve out a little more of it, and then take and let's see. So yeah, I'm going to sort of just scraping it like this. Just sort of use the edge of the knife like this to sort of carve out. Yeah, there, I can see what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm going to take the knife and hold it like this. And then also, I'm going to come in here, come in at these different angles, sort of carve out the wood and just sort of trim it up and make it look all beautiful. Okay, so it's pretty much done. It's a little rough right now. If I give it a sand, let's see if I can find any sandpaper. This is what it looks like. I am going to, however, clean up these marks, the black marks, with alcohol. Let's see if this even works. And see, this walnut is a lot harder, so you can see that the marks are a lot clearer. I'm going to work on it a little more. A little too much, too deep. So as you can see, I went in a little deeper, and made it a little more defined. These, once I give this a sand over the top, it'll look a lot cleaner. It looks really rough right now compared to the finished one. But also, I'm not at my highest peak performance right now because I'm recording this and filming this, and so I'm not doing the best job I could, and I'm not sitting in a very good position, but you have the idea. This is how you carve runes.